Over the last two videos, you've learned something most people never do. You learned that your bones are alive and built by demand, and that the calcium pill so many people trust is only a small piece of the story. And last time, I gave you the master signal, the one type of exercise that actually tells your bones to grow stronger at any age. So you have the signal. But here's the hard truth I have to give you today. You can send that signal perfectly every single day and still lose bone if the raw materials aren't on your plate. You cannot build a wall with no bricks, and you cannot rebuild a skeleton on an empty plate. The exercise tells your body to build. The food is what it builds with. And there's a second problem, one almost nobody warns you about. Some of the most ordinary things on the modern plate are quietly working against your bones, pulling strength out of them year after year, without you ever tasting the damage. Today I'm going to show you both halves of this. First, the quiet thieves, the foods and habits draining your bones right now, and then the 5 rebuilders, the foods that genuinely put strength back. None of this is exotic, and none of it is expensive. Stay with me because this is the half of bone health you have the most control over 3 times a day. Let's start with a picture that changes how you see every meal. We tend to imagine bone as a solid block of mineral, like a piece of chalk. But that's only half right. Roughly half the volume of your bone is not mineral at all. It's a living framework of protein, a flexible scaffold called collagen. Picture the steel reinforcing bars inside concrete. The protein scaffold is the steel. The calcium and other minerals are the concrete packed around it. You need both. A skeleton that's all mineral and no scaffold is brittle and cracks. A scaffold with no mineral is soft. Strong bone is the two together, woven tight. And here's why that matters so much for your plate. Every single day, your body is tearing down a little old bone and laying down a little new bone. We talked about the crew in the very first video of the series. To lay down new bone, that crew needs to be handed actual building materials. The protein for the scaffold, the minerals for the structure, and the specific helpers that place them correctly. Where does every one of those materials come from? Food, not a bottle. Your plate, 3 times a day, is the supply truck pulling up to the construction site. So when we talk about food and bone, we're not talking about something vague and healthy. We're talking about whether the crew that rebuilds your skeleton has bricks and steel to work with, or whether they show up each day to an empty lot. Which brings us to the bad news first, because some of what we eat doesn't just fail to deliver materials, it actively hauls them away. These are the bone thieves. I call them quiet because not one of them announces itself. You'll never feel them at work, but over years they tip the balance toward loss. Let me give you the main 4, and exactly why each one matters. The first thief is the biggest, and it's not something you're eating too much of. It's something most older adults eat too little of: protein. As we age, appetite shrinks, meat can feel heavy, and many people drift into days built around tea and toast, a little soup, a biscuit. It feels harmless. But remember the scaffold. If you don't eat enough protein, your body cannot build the frame that holds your bones together. And worse, it starts breaking down the protein in your muscles and bones to get what it needs elsewhere. Under-eating protein is, quietly, one of the most bone-weakening things an older adult can do. We'll fix it first in the rebuilders because it matters most. The second thief is salt, sodium. Here's the mechanism, and it's simple. When your body gets rid of excess sodium through your kidneys, it drags calcium out with it, into your urine, and you lose it for good. A plate heavy in salty processed food, cured meats, salty snacks, canned soups, ready meals, means you're slowly pouring your calcium down the drain day after day. You don't need a no-salt life. You need to notice that most salt doesn't come from your shaker. It comes hidden inside packaged food. The third thief is too much alcohol. A little may be fine, and I'm not here to lecture, but heavier drinking directly interferes with the bone-building crew and with the way your body handles calcium and vitamin D. It both poisons the builders and trips up the supply line. If bone is a concern for you, this is one of the highest value places to ease back. And the fourth thief is the one hiding in plain sight, a plate built mostly from ultra-processed food, with very little fresh produce. This one steals in two ways. It crowds out. Every meal of beige packaged food is a meal not spent on the protein, the greens, the minerals your bones need. And the heaviest soda habits bring their own problem. Colas in particular tend to replace better drinks like milk, and very high intakes have been linked with lower bone density, especially in women. The damage isn't one dramatic thing. It's a plate that quietly never delivers the goods, meal after meal, year after year. Notice the pattern in all four. None of them is poison. They're ordinary, and that's exactly why they're dangerous. They feel like normal eating, while they slowly tilt the balance toward loss. The good news is that the reverse is just as powerful. Fill the plate with the right things, and you tilt it hard the other way. So let's build that plate with the 5 rebuilders. Rebuilder number 1 is the most important, and it's the thief turned on its head: protein. Get this one right and you've done more than half the job, because protein builds the scaffold every other material packs onto. Here's what to actually do. Aim to get a good portion of protein at every meal, not just at dinner. Your body can only use so much at once, so spreading it out works far better than one big evening helping. A good portion is roughly the size of your palm, and it doesn't have to be a slab of steak. Eggs, fish, chicken, Greek yogurt and cottage cheese, beans, lentils, and tofu, canned fish, a scoop of protein powder in a morning bowl if eating enough is hard, which for many older adults it genuinely is. The simplest habit that changes everything. Make protein the first thing you plan at each meal and build the rest around it, rather than treating it as an afterthought to the potatoes and bread. Do that, and you've handed your bone-building crew the steel it's been missing. Rebuilder number 2 is the humble leafy green: kale, collard greens, bok choy, broccoli, cabbage. I know, not glamorous, but pound for pound, these are some of the most bone-friendly foods on earth, and here's why. Leafy greens are a rare package deal. They deliver calcium your body absorbs beautifully, in some greens better than from milk, and at the same time they bring vitamin K, magnesium, and a load of other minerals your bones need, all riding together the way nature intended. They also help tip your body's overall chemistry in a bone-friendly direction, the gentle opposite of the salty processed plate problem we just talked about. You don't need to become someone who eats salads all day. A handful of greens cooked into a soup, a stew, an omelet, or simply sautéed with a little olive oil and garlic most days, that's the win. Easy to chew, easy to digest, and quietly delivering a whole team of bone nutrients in one go. Rebuilder number 3 might be the single most efficient bone food there is, and it comes in a tin for pocket change. Small fish with soft, edible bones, sardines, and canned salmon with the bones still in. Think about what's in that tin. The soft bones themselves are pure food form calcium, the kind your body handles gracefully. The fish brings high-quality protein for the scaffold. An oily fish is one of the few foods that naturally carries vitamin D, the key that unlocks calcium absorption, the very thing so many older adults are short on. Protein, calcium, and vitamin D together in one cheap, shelf-stable food you can keep in the cupboard. Few foods give you that much of the team at once. If sardines aren't your thing, mashed onto toast with a little lemon, or folded into a salad, makes them far easier to enjoy. Even once or twice a week moves the needle. The last 2 rebuilders are the helpers most people have never heard of, and they're what separate calcium that ends up in your bones from calcium that ends up in your arteries. Rebuilder 4 is vitamin K2, the escort. Remember from the calcium video, K2 is the traffic officer that takes calcium and directs it into your bones and away from your blood vessels. You'll find it in fermented foods, in certain cheeses, in egg yolks, and in some meats. If there's one nutrient worth learning a few new foods for, it's this one. Because without the escort, even good calcium can end up in the wrong place. Rebuilder 5 is magnesium, the quiet partner that works behind the scenes, helping your body use vitamin D and run the whole bone-building operation. Many older adults are quietly short on it. The good news is it's delicious and easy. Nuts and seeds, almonds, pumpkin seeds, beans and lentils, whole grains, and a little dark chocolate. A small daily handful of nuts and seeds is one of the easiest bone upgrades you can make. And tying all of this together, one more time, is vitamin D. The key to the whole lock. You get some from oily fish and eggs, some from sensible sunlight, but because aging skin makes so little, this is the one where it's genuinely worth asking your doctor for a simple blood test. Fix a low vitamin D, and suddenly all the calcium on this beautiful plate can finally get in. Now, I know I've just given you a lot, and the worst thing you could do is feel you must overhaul your whole kitchen by the weekend. You don't. So let me make it simple, the one rule, and where to start. The one rule is this: food first, every time. Build your bones from your plate, not from a cabinet of pills, because food delivers these nutrients together, in the amounts your body can actually use, the way it was designed to receive them. Supplements have their place, and if you and your doctor decide you need one, especially vitamin D, that's a good and sensible thing, but they are the patch, not the plan. And please, before adding any supplement, talk with your own doctor, especially if you have kidney trouble or a heart history. This is guidance, not a prescription. And where to start? Tomorrow morning, change one thing. Add real protein to your breakfast. An egg or two, some Greek yogurt, whatever you'll actually eat. Just the one change, held for a month, does more for most older adults than any pill on the shelf. Then, when that's a habit, add the next: a handful of greens at dinner, a tin of sardines in the cupboard, a small handful of nuts in the afternoon. One change at a time made permanent. That's how a plate and a skeleton actually gets rebuilt. So now you have the whole picture this series has been building toward. Your bones are alive. They're built by demand, by the load you place on them. And they're built from materials, the food on your plate. The exercise sends the signal. The plate supplies the bricks. Stop the quiet thieves, feed the 5 rebuilders, and you're doing, at the dinner table, exactly what your bones have been waiting for. There's just one piece left. You now know what to do. The movement and the plate. The last question is how to put it all together, day by day, without it becoming a second job. Next time, the final video of the series. A simple, gentle 30-day plan that weaves the exercise and the eating into the life you already live. So all of this finally becomes something you do, not just something you know. Subscribe, and I'll see you there.